161st Street, Yankee Stadium.
Swung on a hit in the air. The deep center. Gets back, away back. She is gone.
All right, welcome back to the Boys of 161st Street, episode 191. Opening week is in the books. Well, not really opening week. Opening series is in the books, but we're reacting to the first week of games so far. Yankees take the series against the Red Sox 2-1. Nearly swept them. A couple things could have went our way to get the sweep, but a lot happened. Loaded show to talk about today, just for as a little bit of a forewarning. We're recording this Monday at 7 o'clock. Honestly, right as the Yankees are going to play the Blue Jays. We're going to the game after that. That's why we wanted to get this episode out of the way and not react and not basically just stay up till midnight, just reacting to this game. So, spoiler alert, we're not going to be talking about the Monday night game against the Blue Jays. So, if you're listening on the podcast apps in the morning, that's why we are not talking about Giancarlo Stanton hitting 3 home runs tonight. So, we have a lot to talk about with that being said. Judge denies extension. Donaldson, Walkoff, Hicks off to a very hot start with his 30-30 campaign and a whole bunch more. But before we get going on that, this episode is brought to you by Chalkboard. Go ahead and download the Chalkboard app and join our game day group chat. But I'll have Chandler tell us more about it.
Yeah, no, I'm sure Luke will make sure to touch on this a little more, but if you could or could not understand my last ad read, it's a pretty nice little app. We've been using it, and we're going to be using it all season long. It's a new group sports chat ordeal, so sync up all of your sports bets. If you're a gambler, cool. We can all see it. We can share. We can talk about it. If you're not, whatever, come along for the ride. You'll see our link for it up in the bio. Just click that. You'll join our chat. And you'll be with us all season long. Like I said, follow our losing bets or do whatever you want. So,
links in the bio, links in the podcast description, pretty much everywhere. We decided to not take it away, but limit the Boda box for Chandler, because as you can probably tell in the Red Sox preview episode with BJ, who did not get a warm welcome from the fans on that episode. People did not like BJ, so we may not be inviting him back for a little bit.
No, I love it.
I love BJ, but I could see what the people were saying on him. It was
they tuned into a Yankees podcast and got a guy just shitting on them, which we do, but it wasn't lighthearted.
It wasn't fun about your own team. It was just somebody else talking shit about your team, which is no fun. So we apologize.
Someone else's family, you can shit on your own family and your own friends, but you can't shit on somebody else's family and their friends.
Yeah, so we apologize for that. And BJ, if you're listening, sorry, dude, they don't like you, but we like you.
What do you expect?
No, and like I said, download the Chalkboard app. It's a lot of fun. We got a bunch of people in there already, and we're talking bets. We're talking Yanks. Doesn't get much better than that. So,
it's a cool place to hang out with cool people.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
So, first thing I feel like we have to talk about right off the top is the Aaron Judge extension or lack thereof. So the Yankees, what was the Yankees offer specifically? I know you have the numbers in front of you.
Yeah, it was 7 years, $30.5 million a year, and
it was $233, right?
Well, the eighth year was to buy out the last arbitration year.
Okay.
So,
which I think is an extremely fair offer. So, and usually, obviously, as you guys know, listening to this podcast, we are the Yankees' biggest critic. We call ourselves the Gordon Ramsay of Yankee podcast. I thought that was a very fair deal. I am not upset with the way what they offered. However, I am upset the way they handled it. I think, and we can get into it more, but I think, the way they backed him in a corner, leaving it up until the last second. I know the offer was probably made a long time before that. So that's the part that we don't know, being on the outside looking in. But from the outside looking in, like I said, it looks like they waited to the very last second to back him in the corner so that he would say yes, and then he didn't say yes. And, he was down doing batting practice and all that shit. We don't know if that is actually, if the offer didn't, the public knew about it at that point. I really feel like the offer was out there way earlier than that, and that's just the way it's perceived now. But I don't like, the one thing I didn't like about that was that the whole Cashman press conference. There's no need at all to start pointing fingers to show that, Judge is the one that denied it. Judge is the one, and trying to get the fans to turn on him. That I think was the most ridiculous part about it. The offer was fair, like I said, but I don't know. What was the Judge camp number that they wanted?
Allegedly, and I don't know how true this is. This is just Cashman declined to comment on it today. They asked him about it again, but reportedly it was 10 years. He wants 10 years and $36 million a year, which I think is a bit egregious. Like you said, it's not the dollar amount. I'm actually very surprised that the Yankees were willing to go that high. I thought they would try and lowball him, so kudos to them. But you don't need to hold a press conference an hour before the first pitch just to point fingers. Like, grow the fuck up, dude. You're the GM of the New York Yankees. You really need to go on live TV and try and get the fan base to turn on your guy. I mean, that being said, I don't think there's nothing that Aaron Judge can do this year that'll make him worth $360 million. I think that offer that they gave him was right at about the cap, barring a triple crown or something. So,
dude, even if that though, like I love obviously we love Aaron Judge. He deserves the extension, but the man's turning 30 years old in 15 days. Yes, I just looked it up. It's on the top of my head.
Happy birthday.
And like, I don't know, giving a 10-year contract to a 30-year-old,
He'd be 40.
He'd be 40, and that's if he can even play it for. He's fucking a big guy. It's nothing against him. It's just he's a very large person, and he, we haven't seen him be like the most consistently healthy person. I know he's had like some issues with just like, they're not entirely his fault, but it happens. And when you're that big, you're just more prone to getting injured, and there's no way around that. It's nothing against him. It's just that's just how things work.
Well, with contracts like that, and we've said this with other people's contract extensions, everybody who isn't named Ronald Acuna, Juan Soto, and all these other guys, they get contracts where you take the first 5, you eat the last 5 type thing.
20 years old.
No, but I'm saying they don't. That doesn't exist with them. You're probably going to get 10 good years, and that's why they get lowballed contracts like you see with Acuna. Probably not Juan Soto, but like Acuna, Albies, that type of thing. You're going to get productive years for the entirety of the contract, and they're probably going to get another one after that if all goes well. But with guys like Judge, who are a little older, you're going to probably need to have a little bit longer of a contract, and you're going to get half of a good contract, and probably, getting into what you're getting into ahead of time, that you're probably going to get some down years and maybe some injured years, similar to like how negotiations probably went with DJ. Like DJ got a couple extra years, and when we were talking about DJ, or even Cole too, like Cole isn't going to be a spring chicken by the end of his contract, and you kind of assume that you're going to get a couple of years, 5 years of like Cy Young potential pitcher, and then after that you deal with whatever the fuck else happened with the AAV. It's whatever. You got hopefully 5 years of good contract. So I see that's what's happening with Judge, but I mean, 10's a lot, and contracts like that, you look at other guys who have gotten 10-year contracts that are bringing them into the age 40 years, like guys like Albert Pujols. Albert Pujols is still kicking it, but he played first base and he DH. So Judge is just playing center field and he's outfield. So got to assume you got to lower the years a little bit, or I mean, because he's pretty much going to be just a DH. And at the end of the contract, if he were to go like 10 years, and you also have another guy in Stanton who's going to be that same thing. So it's a little tricky to go into the 10th year.
What I'm worried about the most is that I don't even know if I'm worried about it, because I've kind of put this on themselves. Every party has. Not one person's to blame here, but I'm worried that he's going to go out and he's not going to have the most amazing year ever. Like, I think he still has even if he wins an MVP, it won't bring him up to the level that he wants. But I think he's going to go out there. He's going to realize that nobody else is going to give him the money that he wants. He's going to come back to the Yankees. And just because the way the Yankees handle their business, they're going to give him a giant finger. And, like, you know what? That was before you hit, let's say he doesn't win an MVP. That was before you missed 30 games, you hit 270, and you only hit 30 home runs. So now that offer is 175. He's going to get pissed off. It's going to be an ugly ending. And I think that's more likely than any long-term deal at this point.
Yeah. Do you remember when our Pujols signed the 10-year contract with the Angels, and how I was in shock. I think a lot of people were in shock. They were like, holy crap, he's going to be fucking 42 when this contract ends. And that's this year. His contract ends this year. He was about 31 years old when they gave him a 10-year contract. And a lot of us were just like, what the hell are they thinking? It's a little bit different situation, but I'm just trying to put that in perspective. Like,
no, that's what I was saying.
He's also coming off 5 MVPs.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think it was 5. It was 3 or 5.
He was
so,
truly
like,
past his prime, and everyone was like, "Yeah, fucking give him 10 years."
But his game translates a little better, and that's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah,
to
exactly.
a longer
Yeah,
term
for
deal
sure.
because he's a first baseman and then DH. But that's with all that to say, like that would be assuming Judge is going to be the DH, and then you have Stanton too, so he's probably going to be around that at that time as well. I don't know when his contract ends and where that lines up with the 10 years, but regardless, I think it's ridiculous of him to deny the. I mean, it's not ridiculous because good on him. He's betting on himself. So many people, like you see other people like Scherzer doing that, and all these other players that do that, and good for them if it works out. But in his case, if he's got injury history, I know a lot of them are flukes. Most of them are flukes, but it's pretty ballsy when you deny $233 million for 7 years.
So it would take him to right around 38 years old. So
it's a pretty damn good contract.
Not many people are willing to give you to your age 40. That's not just the Yankees. So no. I don't know. It would not surprise me at all if this goes kind of wonky and next season he ends up with a similar deal to Correa. That would not surprise me one bit.
What was Correa's deal?
Think so?
Yeah,
I would 3 years, 103, I think.
Yeah, it would not surprise me at all if
I think Judge is going to have a great year, and I hope this works out for him, and I hope the Yankees still can retain him. I know we were talking before about how this contract may be like no chance of it happening if we don't sign him by opening day. I don't necessarily know that I believe that. I think it's more of him betting on himself. And when you look at the more I thought about it, the more I kind of sided with him because it's like he hasn't had big contracts yet. He just got out of arbitration, or he's still in it, and they're going to it apparently. That's a whole different story. But like, you kind of have to side with him. Like a lot of these other players got their money, and this is one of the few things that A-Rod said that I kind of sided with on the K cast, which I didn't like, and apparently half of you liked, half of you didn't like. I didn't like it. I turned it off, and I went to the Cohen broadcast. But like A-Rod said, your first few years in the league, you kind of just like you don't really make that much money. In his case, he signed 2 10-year, $300 million contracts. Good for him, but most players don't. Most players go to free agency once, and that's when you make your money. And in Judge's case, this is probably, if he's going to sign a long-term deal like that, it's going to be the only time he ever gets a big contract like that. So you kind of have to side with him to try and get as much money as humanly possible in one spot because he's not going to sign another contract after this unless he does a short-term, prove it, and then goes for the big deal after that.
I totally agree. I just don't think that with his age, with his injury history, regardless of what you think of it, I don't think that any team is going to give him what he wants. And shy of a historic season.
Well, if he has a historic season, which I think he can, I think it's very much in the cards. He's already off to a hot start. He's hitting the piss out of the ball. We were at a bunch of games. He looked good.
A bunch, 2 out of the first 3.
We're going tonight too. So I'm just saying, I think he can have a really good year, and I think it could work out. But like, it's just the what if it doesn't thing that I don't know if that's enough insurance to deny $233 million.
Realistically, what do you think his max is? Because I think what he wants, 10 years, $360 million. No, there's no chance. I think if he wins a Triple Crown, he is not going to get that. What do you think is something, if he bets on himself and he comes out and he has this incredible year that he's banking on, and I say incredible because it will have to be like one of the best seasons in history for him to match or exceed 30 and a half at 31 years old. So what does he have to do, and what does that number look like if he comes out and does it?
I think it can get better, but marginally better. And for you to deny the guaranteed contract that's in front of you, I don't think it's worth the marginal addition of like maybe an extra 15 mil tacked on. Like I don't know. I see him looking like when he denied the contract, you saw all the other contracts on other pages and whatnot. It's like, here are what everybody else makes. Like you see the Stanton balloon contract in the 300s. You see all these other contracts of the top tier names in the game right now and how much they make. And got to believe that's what he was looking at. You try to keep up with the Joneses. You look at what the market rate is for an MVP caliber player year in, year out. And it's a little bit more than that. So I don't know. You factor in the age, you factor in everything else. I think he can get more, but is it worth the extra $30 million total?
I don't even know that he'll get that. I think he might get an extra $5 million a year. Maybe.
I think he can get an extra 30 total on the whole deal if he has an unbelievable year. Like, I think he can. And if he stays healthy, I think he's going to get an extra $30 million a year. And I hope it's from the Yankees. I think that's all we need to say about it. I think we can move on to the next stuff because there's a lot of fun things to talk about. The Yankees had a great opening series against the Red Sox. And, this episode could have a much different tune throughout if it didn't end up the way it was. So good start to the season. Don't think that, don't hear what we're not saying. We're not saying that everything's like the sky is falling. We're very happy, but obviously that was a pretty big damper to the start of opening day, and vibes were low in the apartment here before we headed to the game. But obviously vibes picked up now. But
yeah,
needed to address that elephant in the room, obviously. So very good opening day. One of the best that I remember. And this is actually, I thought I had gone to one before. I was saying to the fellas before, I don't think I have. I was thinking back to it. So my favorite opening day I've been to.
I mean, a walk-off in the
any.
Bronx is a tough thing to top on opening day.
I just don't even remember the last time we won on opening day.
I don't either. I really don't.
And I could be wrong.
That's not true. They won Stanton's.
I'm not saying that we've never won.
Recently, I'm saying.
I mean, Stanton, that was in 2018.
Yeah, it was sick.
Yeah, it was 4 years ago.
And we won.
I'm just saying, it's been a while since we've won, and we beat a good team, so it was exciting. That's all I'm getting at. I'm on your side.
I mean,
I'm positive.
Red Sox, Yankees in the Bronx on a walk-off hit, and we win. Like, doesn't get much better than that. It really doesn't.
No,
I think
Stanton
that's
hit a home run
beautiful
again.
Friday afternoon. Like, I don't know how you could have scripted it any better.
I think that Saturday, and we said it before going to the game, had the potential to be one of the most electric games to go to because it was, people who couldn't get off work on the opening day game at 1 o'clock. Everybody made their way. It's like everybody that I know from my friends and whatnot. Like so many people that I know have gone to school with and all that kind of shit. Everybody was at Yankee Stadium. So I can imagine that was the way for a lot of people. It was just a very exciting game to go to, and it ended up being a great game for the Yanks. Truth be told, I didn't really watch too much of it. We found standing room spots, and we just waistbanded some nips to the game, and didn't really watch too much of the game. But I caught the highlights after. Chandler was absolutely locked in.
Yeah, are you talking about Saturday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was absolutely locked in. It was fantastic. Stanton hit another bomb on Saturday. I don't know if you mentioned that, but that was his sixth straight.
We were probably sitting in the worst location to see that actually land because we didn't see it land because we were like in the right left
in the
center.
area that the center field bar
his
blocks
Saturday
off.
one we saw, it looked like it was going to come right through my teeth. The one on Friday did not. That was the one that got over the wall by about 6 inches.
But back to opening day, how about that Donaldson walk-off? Did he, quote-unquote,
don't even say
earn the pinstripes after
fuck
that?
You. No.
Not even close.
I mean, aside from that walk-off, he's been pretty shit. And I honestly, I was going to get into the conversation now, but like with him not being in the lineup tonight, I don't think it's necessarily due to his performance at all. I think it's probably a scheduled off day for a guy of his age. Yeah. But do you think that after this, because I had the question that, DJ's bad leadoff today. Let's say DJ has a great leadoff night tonight, which DJ's been hitting very well. So I don't see why he wouldn't. I want DJ to bat leadoff, regardless of him being moved to leadoff tonight. I wanted that to begin with because DJ's the only one that's actually a stereotypical leadoff hitter aside from his speed, or lack thereof. He hits the ball, and I assumed you'd be having a better year this year, bounce back year. So if DJ has a good night tonight, is the Donaldson leadoff experiment done?
I don't think that DJ is going to play enough. I think because they've already benched him like twice, right? Out of the first 3 games. He's not going to play enough? Or no, once.
He's going to play the whole game.
I mean, they rotate him in and out too much to be like the bona fide leadoff.
He's not going to not play. He's playing the whole game tonight unless he gets hurt. He's been coming in the second half.
I'm just saying.
My question was tonight, if he has a good game and Donaldson
let's rephrase that. Are you saying that whenever he plays, he will hit leadoff? Is that a different way to phrase it?
I think if DJ has a great night tonight in the leadoff spot, Donaldson out and hasn't been great in the leadoff spot, he has like a 40 WRC plus in those 3 games, albeit small sample size, is DJ back to his rightful spot as leadoff? Because he's been, I feel like the leash is very short for Donaldson because DJ's the known commodity that can be leadoff. So if he does it well tonight, sets the table for the rest of the team, I feel like that's a no-brainer to put him back in a spot that he's been good at.
What about Hicks?
Okay, shut the fuck up.
No, I personally think I don't think it's over, Donaldson leading off, and I think the main reason because I say that is because of how good Rizzo's hitting the 2-hole right now. Because Rizzo is like that other guy who we're saying like could have that leadoff potential and like mix him in with Donaldson and DJ when DJ is playing. But I think Boone is very hesitant to change a guy's hitting spot who's doing really well. And Rizzo's been our best hitter for the last 3 games, and I just don't see him changing out of that.
Why would that
2-hole.
change?
See, I would
Rizzo?
disagree with that. I would say
Because
he's been very open to moving people regardless of their performance, just historically
What?
speaking.
Yeah, yeah.
You think that
Last
we,
year
we
was
run a
basic-
different lineup
yeah.
every single fucking
Last year
night.
was
Donaldson's
basically
doing well?
picking-
They won't move at all.
Last
That's
year was
not true.
basically
Yes,
picking
it
names
is.
out of a hat. We
Our
had the
joke was a running joke on the podcast was he's doing too well. He needs a break.
No, but I'm saying what I remember is that guys who were doing well, he would not touch what they're hitting out of.
That's not true.
I
You're
think
right.
you're
He would
thinking of
bench them.
Judge only. Of Judge only. That I
Yeah.
think that held true with
Maybe
Judge.
I'm thinking of
because-
2 people, but I don't know. That's where I'm getting my I have no
Well,
facts to back this up. But.
See, I see what you're saying, and that's because it makes sense and it's logical, but that's not what Aaron Boone does. So he does not think with logic. He thinks with computers and what people tell you upstairs. So I think Judge, they were so not willing to move him out of the 2-hole last year that it hindered him at times, and that might be why you think that they're not going to move Rizzo from that same spot, but I think they certainly will. And I don't.
You know what I'm thinking of? Sorry. I think I'm getting mixed up with when Stanton was doing really well and they wouldn't play him in left field because he was DHing and he was hitting the shit out of the ball. And then he was like, we can't put him in left field because he's doing too well hitting.
That did happen.
That did happen.
That happened.
That has like no relevance to this.
That has a little
conversation.
relevancy.
No.
Of Boone not changing a guy's whatever he's doing because he's doing well. Whatever. This is off topic.
I do like Rizzo in the 2-hole.
I love it.
And I
Yeah.
think, well, the numbers back up that the 2-hole is technically supposed to be your best hitter, which is why they were very not willing to move Judge out of that 2-hole. But I think Rizzo being in the 2-hole obviously has worked out so far. And this whole episode, I don't want anybody to think, because we're going to do hot or not in a second, I don't want anybody to think that we're overreacting to the sample size in front of us. We're not. I just think Rizzo,
I mean, we
before the
talked about
season, like, it
Yankees,
makes
that's what we
sense to
do.
be in the 2-hole, and it looks good so far. So I like it. I don't think they should move that. I think Rizzo, lefty, going to Judge, being righty, it would have been cool if Gallo was a little bit better right now, and maybe the numbers Chandler would get into in his stats corner that maybe he's getting a little bit unlucky, but it would be really cool if we had like Rizzo, Judge, Gallo, Stanton. That'd be cool. Or I don't even know if I care too much about the lefty righty switch like that, because if it's Judge then Stanton, I mean, we talked about it a lot last year. How often did Judge and Stanton even play together, like in those games? So having them back to back is just a fucking scary sight. Like, they're both gonna hit the shit out of the ball this year, and if they're back to back, like, I don't know what you do in that situation. But
I'd honestly rather them hit back to back than mix in Gallo.
yeah,
between them.
I kind of would too. Now
So
that
would
I
I.
just said that, want to get into hot or not?
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's do the hots first. So we, honestly, and like I said before, truth be told, I just want to introduce this segment a little bit because it's been 3 games, obviously, or 3 and some change. 'Cause we're watching the game right now as we're recording this. But hot or not is essentially, we play a little music and we rattle off some numbers of the recent week of games, and we're going to choose, like, I'm going to say, who's doing the hots tonight? So Chandler's going to do the hots tonight. He's going to tell me, after I rattle off the numbers specifically about these players, if he thinks this is going to continue or not. And then same with the nots. It's like people who have been playing pretty shitty. He's probably going to be a recurring guest on this segment. Is going to be Aaron Hicks. Spoiler alert, he's on here. And they tell us if you think that is going to continue or not. And the not segment is actually a segue into the Sun conversation. So if you're a recurring member of the Knots, then you may make your way onto the Sun. And the Sun is clear. There's nobody on the Sun right now. It's a clean slate, not a place you want to be. So you can graduate off the Not list. I think, do you want to get scientific with it? Like 3 times on the Not list gets you onto the Sun, or like one
It's a
bad
feel
trip?
thing.
One bad trip on the Not
Well, I
list will
think
get you there in
I
one
think
spot.
the Sun is a group vote, so we can't take away from that.
True.
that will deteriorate what we've built over
All
the
right,
years.
so let's get into the first one. Cue the music. All right, leading off in the hots for the 2022 season is Mr. Giancarlo Stanton, 13 plate appearances, 385 batting average, 2 homers, 4 RBIs, 244 weighted runs created plus.
Yeah, I buy it.
Buying it? Anthony Rizzo, 14 plate appearances, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, 260 WRC plus, and a 7% K percentage.
I mean, you know what I mean, though. It's the sample size, but also I do buy him being good over the long run.
Yankees bullpen this season, and the numbers, that's who you're buying and selling. After Sevy went 3 innings pitched, they went 6 innings pitched, no hits. Yankees bullpen for the entire series, 18.2 innings pitched, 19 strikeouts, 2 earned runs.
So,
Okay. And some honorable mentions there. Ralph Macchio, the Karate Kid, whatever you want to call his real name. After Rizzo calmed him down, was pretty damn good. DJ with the big game-tying homer to push it to extras, and Rizzo just being a good dude and calming down Ralph Macchio.
I'm just a good dude, but like
Next captain if Judge leaves?
question mark.
I would love to know what he possibly could have said that had that big of an impact.
I don't even care. I think just the fact.
Oh,
that,
I don't either. It was
the
awesome.
fact that he was the only guy who went out there and was just like, "Hey, dude."
Well, he does play first base, so
You're
he's got
right.
the easiest walk.
But I mean, he didn't.
I
Have
don't
to
think
do
he
that.
really said much. I think he was
I don't
just
think.
like,
I don't think he did either.
hey,
but
come on, babe.
He did it.
Here we go. Calm
So,
down. Just throw strikes. You got defense
It's
behind you.
It's the
That's what he
implications
said.
of it.
Seems like a really cool guy. I'm sure he had something.
Yeah,
fun
he
to
is
say.
definitely a cool guy.
Dude, this was this guy's first pitch ever in the big leagues. It was his debut. He goes out there, throws 5 balls in a row.
I hate how you say debut.
Oh, suck it up. It's going to be a long season. And he
Hopefully
calmed down. I thought it was
nobody
great.
comes up. Speaking of debuts, we didn't even talk about it. Clark Schmidt looked pretty good.
Great.
He looked awesome.
He gave up like one
He gave
homer,
one
Got to have a
home
jam, though. It was
which
good.
is always his like issue. He's also a young pitcher, so it's kind of everybody's issue when
He's
you're
always
young.
put
but
into like bad situations. So like,
he looked good though.
it was good.
He did a great
I'm
job.
excited for Clark Schmidt. Didn't make his name onto the hots. Didn't make his way onto the knots. So that's a pretty good debut.
He had one
Yeah,
bad.
it's
He
good.
had one bad pitch. It's not his fault that the Yankees
No.
left like 3 small armies on base.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, Stanton looked unbelievable.
I think
Obviously,
he's gonna
like we
have a
said,
big
small
year.
sample size, 244 WRC plus is not what we're buying. You can't really
No.
do that. And 260 for Rizzo is not what we're buying. But the fact that they are doing this stuff, I think they can continue to do this stuff and just be good baseball players. And I think this just adds to the fact that I think, like my prediction before the season, my bold prediction, I thought the Yankees would have the chance and the potential to be the top 2 offense in baseball. I think when guys like Rizzo specifically are banging along with Judge and Stanton and the guys that are supposed to be banging, like it's a pretty deep offense, and I am very excited to see him continue to do that, because if he's doing that as a lefty, short porch, doesn't need it because he's hitting fucking bombs, but that's a big X factor or whatever you want to call this. I know Murph had a problem with me calling that an X factor, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's the team goes as far as Rizzo and Sevy. I think those 2, one offense, one defense, will take us, and I think if those 2 are doing extremely well, I think this team is gonna go places. So
Well,
Yep.
to back up my Stanton one too, a little impromptu chalkboard ad. I think that I'm gonna take a little bit of MVP juice on him,
on who?
on Stanton. 45-1. If he plays even 50% of the games in left field,
I took him to
and
lead the
he
league in
hits
homers.
marginally better than he did last year, I think he'll be in the conversation.
Don't see why not.
I that's how much I buy him. I really think he's gonna have
Yeah,
a
and
solid
I don't
year.
even think this is overreacting to the 3 games. I think obviously he's been a monster. He's a one-man wrecking crew, specifically against the Red Sox.
If he played 162 against the Red Sox, he'd be unanimous.
I did see. We'll get to the overreactions at the back end of this episode. We asked for your overreactions on Instagram on the swipe up to the first 3 games of the season, and one of them was Stanton's going to set the home run record against the Red Sox, the single team home run record, similar to like what Glaber and Gary did against the Orioles, like that version of it. He's already on. Like if you date back to last year, didn't he have like 6 games in a row of home runs, or was it?
Yeah,
Including the last playoff
Saturday
games.
was his 6th in a row.
I mean,
It's pretty good. That
It's a
was the
little
longest
silly.
of all time against the Red Sox.
yeah. So I don't don't not see it. I think that could definitely happen. I'm excited to see Stanton continue to play against the Red Sox. Seems like actually every game he plays, he hits a home run. So
I mean, yeah, it has been.
He's
the Red
one
Sox.
of the only people in baseball, really, that when I watch, I expect every time he swings, it's going to be a home run. Like other people, and you could say that about Judge and stuff like that too, because he's got the power and the pop to do it, but he just swings so fucking violent that when the bat comes off his shoulder and it's not him waving at a ball in the dirt, I expect it to be a home run.
Yeah, most beautiful swing when he makes contact, and just horrendous when he misses. But
And to elaborate on the
Whatever.
bullpen that I didn't buy before we
I was gonna say that.
pass the baton to Damon for the Knots, I just think there's too many unproven people in there to buy it this early.
You don't think Ralph Macchio is the guy?
You also have to keep in mind that we have expanded rosters right now. So these people that don't have the experience are going to have to, in 2 or 3 weeks, when they shrink back down to normal size, they're going to have to take on those bigger workloads. And I just don't think that I mean, obviously not that level because that's impossible, but I don't think that high of a level in general is sustainable over a long period with that many question marks.
yeah, it's a good point. I would agree with that. There's a lot of guys in there who are, they're not like solidified, like, you know, these,
Half
like,
of them aren't
crazy-
even relievers.
That's what I'm about to say. Like they're,
Yeah.
like not like really like reliant. There's no proven anything really throughout their career who have been like relievers, especially with this team. So
Yeah, I mean, we have one solid half season of Clay Holmes, a good half season of Wandy, a okay up and down season from Licky. You have one season of Loizaga, and you have an up and down year from Chapman. So it's a lot of question marks, and those are your
you got
guys.
Schmidt,
Yeah.
who has never pitched out of the bullpen.
But those ones I just named, and add Chad Green, those are your main staple guys, and even them you have question
Yep.
marks on. Behind them is just a stable of guys, not that throw 98 like the Rays, but they're just ex-starters and people that have been thrown in there. I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm just saying that I don't buy it yet.
Bunch
I
of
don't
misfits.
Bunch
I
of
don't
misfits.
know if I agree. I mean, I'm looking at the list of the usage, and obviously, like I said, and we'll continue to say this is a small sample size. But like Clark Schmidt went 2.2. I think his role in this team for this year, at least, is going to be out of the bullpen. They say he could be a starter, but I don't know why he can't keep up production like this. Jonathan Loizaga 2.1. I expect completely him to be one of the best relievers, if not the best reliever we have. Chapman, 2 innings pitched. Mike King, 2 innings pitched. Mike King's been great for like the last 2 years, it feels like. I'm not looking at any specific numbers right now, but he hasn't not been good. Lucas Licky's been great. 2 innings pitched out of him. Chad Green, 2 innings pitched. Like these guys, all of those guys I mentioned, do you have any doubt that can be very productive relievers? Because the names after
I
that
don't think Licky,
are Wandy Peralta, Clay Holmes, which I agree with. I think he had an awesome year. Figured it out. Command's always been his issue, but he has nasty stuff. He could obviously, there's room for negative regression there. And then Miguel Castro, a lot of people have talked about him being exactly like Clay Holmes, but I mean, the top 5 there, top 6, it seems, can absolutely be guys like that. And we haven't even mentioned Nestor Cortez, who, you know, say what you want with him, he could be there for negative regression, but he hasn't shown us that yet.
he's our 5-starter though.
Yeah, but he's going to get a lot of time out of the pen too, and just in cleanup roles and stuff like that. I mean, he's just I don't see, all this to say, I don't see why we can't. I don't know if I want to sell it. I think this could be a very, very good bullpen. I think.
I totally
yeah, I
agree.
agree.
It can be.
Man.
I'm just saying that I'm not buying it yet. It's going to take me some time to believe that this bullpen is going to be elite or even very good, just because of
They
how
were
many
last
question
year.
marks are. Yeah, but you're even then. Like I said, half those guys were lightning in a bottle, or hopefully they're not. But at the time, Clay Holmes had a 6 ERA and was getting shelled on the Pirates. He was walking everybody. He came over here, and obviously good things happened. He was incredible. But, I mean, he outside of that sample size of half a season, he doesn't have a long, extensive track record to make you believe that that wasn't an outlier. Wandy Peralta, same ordeal. Lucas Licky, he wasn't even great last year. He was okay. He was pretty good. But, again, before that, he hadn't pitched in, 5 years in a major league game? I'm just saying there is a lot of question marks. That's all. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not saying they're amazing. I'm saying that there's question marks. So just pump the brakes on saying they're elite, but I'm very happy, and I hope that I'm wrong and that they do sustain it. But That's all I'm saying.
All right, want to move on to the knots?
Sure.
This is not the list you want to be on. And
just to clarify, because I remember there's a lot of confusion about if we buying or selling, what that actually means. You buying, it means we think they're going to continue to be bad.
yeah, buying the badness.
Buying the badness, selling the goodness.
Selling that he'll be this bad. So Aaron Hicks, 9 plate appearances, 33% K percentage, 43 WRC plus.
Buy.
Okay. Potential Sun candidate there. Isaiah Kiner Falefa, 12 plate appearances, 25% K percentage, .091 batting average, 5 WRC plus.
I'm selling. I think he's fine.
And one last one, Garrett Cole, for his comment about the game not starting on time was the impact and why he had a not too great start.
Selling. But I needed to talk about it.
That's just a good way to segue into that. But you said Aaron Hicks buying that he'll be this bad, IKF selling that he'll be this bad. And again, I don't want to keep saying it, but I know people are going to come at us for this. Like, it's been fucking 3 games. This bad is 3 games. It's not a big sample size. Usually when we do this, it's going to be a week's worth of sample size, and then obviously referring back to potentially the last 2 weeks of data. There's a lot more that would go into this segment on a more recurring basis in this show, but it's just, this is going to be the intro to it. So suck it.
Yeah, Hicks, I don't know, what can you say about Hicks? I mean, he's not looking great for his 30-30 projections.
It's off to a hot start for that, dude.
Not too hot start for that. I mean, I don't know. The guy just continues to just not impress me whatsoever, and he needs to do a lot for me to believe in him for the rest of the season.
Say he has a 250 batting average right now.
I don't want to go into any stats
after
about
9 plate
Aaron
appearances,
Hicks
but
right now.
I wanted to segue that into the fact that he got on base a couple times, didn't even try to steal. So if you're going to make a claim before the season and say you're a 30-30 man, 5 home runs, 5 stolen bases per month doesn't seem like that big a deal. He can make it happen when you've only had like 14 stolen bases in a season for your career. And you don't try. Like, I know it's a couple of times he's been on base, but like, maybe go for it. Maybe try to swipe a bag. I don't know.
Can I say that the stats, I don't care about his 250 batting average.
No, yeah.
I don't care about what people are saying, like, he's one of only 3 people with multiple hits. No. Yesterday, he left the bases loaded. He grounded into a double play with, I think that's when he grounded into a double play, was with the bases loaded or something along those lines. He popped up with the guys on second and third and nobody out. And he fucked something else up with people. He left 6 people on base yesterday. So just do better than that.
Yeah,
like,
no, it's a lot of talk for someone who hasn't been good in 4 years.
It's just like, these aren't even different. We're not asking you to hit even 250, which is sad to say, but do a fucking job. You're supposed to be this guy that's, a great person to get on base or do a small task. Put the ball in the air, have a sac fly, draw a walk, do anything other than pop up to the fucking third baseman with the guys on second and third.
Like, we don't need a 30-30 season out of him.
No.
That's not what we wanted.
I do now.
I need non-selfish at bats.
I want him to have good at bats and just do a fucking job and just play mediocre outfield.
You know what would be a lot cooler than a 30-30 season? Maybe a fucking sac fly.
It's not a lot to ask. Just fucking, I don't know.
I don't need 30 solo home runs when we're down 10-0. I need a sac fly when it's a 4-3 fucking game.
We asked everybody for their overreactions, and an overwhelming majority of the responses are about Mr. Aaron Hicks. And just like, I'll read a few. This is not even like, I didn't find the Hicks ones and call them out. Like, this is at the top of the list of the responses that I just see just from scanning this. Hicks sucks. Hicks should get benched. Gardy would have been better than Hicks. Hicks should not be starting. Bench Hicks. Hicks needs to be sent back to Double-A. Send Hicks to the Sun. IKF sucks. Hicks sucks. Gallo sucks. Gallo is disaster. Hicks to the Sun. I love baseball. Me too. But yeah.
I mean, they're pretty spot
Another one specifically saying not an overreaction, but Hicks and Gallo blow.
Oh, man. Hicks
Sorry,
is
we're
up-
watching the
he's
game.
up-
We're watching the
Hicks
game
is up to
live.
bat right now.
I was really hoping he was striking out right there. It would have been just like perfect timing.
Hey, don't say that. Don't
No,
hope
I'm just
that he
saying, like,
strikes out.
For
He went
the-
off the
for
foul
this,
pole,
it would have been
Hicksy.
very funny.
Yeah,
if he
for
struck
content
out.
purposes, great. For liking the Yankees, bad.
Yeah.
Oh wait, another last good one on Hicks is like Hicks just became the most hated player on the team just for saying he'll get a 30-30. And I
Yeah.
completely agree with you, Sergio Silva. So
Yep.
shout out to you. But
One thing on Gallo, real quick. Now would be a good time to address it since we're
talking
talking
about
about the
No.
overreactions.
Oh.
He's 1 for 10. He actually just had a hit. So and Hicks struck out. So he is
right on cue.
yeah. I think he's 2 for 11 now. He just had a nice oppo single. But coming into this game, he has 5 balls batted at 97 miles an hour or greater. I know it's frustrating. And it's probably annoying as fuck to listen to me always like praise Gallo for sucking. But I do think there is a good player in there because I don't know. He's getting unlucky. He's the most unlucky player in the league right now. The ball he hit yesterday, which was an out, he hit 112 miles an hour with a 22-degree launch angle. Out of StatCast history, there's been 131 similar hits. 121 of them are home runs, and 130 of them are base hits. That's the only out recorded in history with those metrics. So be patient. That's all I'm asking. And if he ends up sucking, then you can tell me to go fuck myself until the end of time. But I do think there's a bit, at least a small portion, of him being unlucky because he is putting together good at-bats. He drew a really nice walk yesterday, especially with the way that the umpire called the first 2 pitches. He threw 5 straight sliders in the same spot. 3 were balls, 2 were strikes, and all of them were balls. But so, I mean, hats off to him for not changing his approach. He has a good eye. He just hit an oppo single, and he's hitting the ball well. He's spraying it all over the yard. I have confidence that he's going to be good.
Hats off to him, and hats off to you for being able to convey your thoughts without being absolutely loaded off Boda Box. But I think Hicks, not Hicks. Why am I? He's just burned in my brain. I can't get him out. But Gallo, I think I might be the biggest Gallo supporter on this podcast. I really want to like him, and I know a lot of people that I've talked to want to like him. He's just not making it easy. And with that, I say give him time, like you said, Chandler. But there's a ball player in there.
Let's get him out.
And he's also just a good dude. So like, give him a little bit of time before you start saying Sun comments, because I see them. They are in the DMs, and they're saying people are calling for you to go to the Sun, Mr. Joseph Gallo. But I'm not going to do that yet. And for those
last little bit of baseball out of you,
for those who are tuning into us for the first time, the Sun is another recurring thing in the season, and not a place you want to go, but it's got to be we would nominate somebody. Any of us can nominate somebody to go to the Sun. He's got to obviously be off the not list, but after a few times being on the not list, somebody will nominate him, and it's got to be unanimous to go on to the Sun. So I doubt it would ever be even any votes right now for anybody to go to the Sun. It's way too early for that. Unless you're the reason we lost 2 games out of the 3. Like that's the only way I could see. Like you
were the sole purpose that
you
we lost
personally,
these games.
like Gardner or something like that.
There's one thing I don't think we talked enough about, but it was kind of in the overreactions, and Damon never really elaborated on the knots. You don't think Kiner Falefa's bad?
Well, I know you have a lot of stats to prove this, but I'll just say that
there's not a lot of stats to prove it.
Well, he was. I didn't read any of them yet, but I know he was.
He doesn't have any.
Okay, well, I'll let him pull it up and defend it. But
no, he doesn't need to. We'll just talk about.
Okay.
He has no.
All right. Anyway, all I'm saying is that I'm not worried whatsoever with him. I think he's a good player. I think he's exactly what this team needs. He's a contact guy. He's fast, and he's good at fielding. That's what we need.
New face in a new place. Give him some time.
He wants to play. He wants to be a Yankee. Opening day versus the Red Sox, Yankee Stadium. Guy got some jitters. I hope he's not like this all year round, but only time will tell. I'm not worried about him. I think he's a good ball player, and he just need to get the first couple of games.
New face in a new place. I do think one thing that is tendered for my expectations for him have been, I don't think he's going to be the everyday shortstop. I think there was potential for that to be the case beforehand, but now I think we've seen Glaber's played shortstop already this year, right?
No.
No, I think he will.
Marwin Gonzalez is playing tonight.
Marwin is playing shortstop tonight. That's your everyday shortstop right there. And
I mean, if he hits, he very well might be.
My thing with Kiner Falefa, I guess time will tell, and I'm not super low on him, and I want to like the guy, but he's got to get over his yips he has right now. He's just spiking everything in the fucking dirt, and it's really annoying to watch. But
he'll be fine.
What I was gonna say, his whole career, he's not even a great shortstop. Like, he's a Gold Glove third baseman. He's not. He's average. He is an average at best shortstop over his career.
I guess we'll find out.
Hopefully he at least plays average defensively and can hit somewhat. I don't know. It's just frustrating. I think it's more frustrating because it's early in the season. We'll get used to it, and I'm sure that he'll go back towards his career averages, which are good, not great. It's just frustrating when you see Seager hitting nukes and Correa hitting balls into the upper deck. And I know that that's not fair, but there's a part of you and everybody listening to this that's like, there's a little part of you that's like, fuck.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to talk about the offseason debacles and who we'd sign, didn't sign, but Kiner Falefa was supposed to be a average at best shortstop. Like, he's not supposed to be the star of this team. You know, like, we didn't sign him to be Carlos Correa. So, like, we shouldn't be expecting all these, like, glamorous.
I don't expect it, but
300 hitting, like 30, I don't know, like 30 home runs. Like, we shouldn't expect that out of him. He should be an average shortstop. But I think that where I get concerns are if his fielding isn't good, because that is a huge reason why we did sign him. And if his fielding sucks, then that's obviously where we got to start having a conversation of, is he going to play shortstop still? But until he gets really bad and like has real consistency and errors and stuff like that, like, I'm not going to lose sleep over it and worry about it.
Want to get into the overreactions and hit this ball game?
Sure
just
do,
like,
brother.
Just like George Springer just hit that baseball over the fence.
Over the fence.
hit it foul.
Watch this pitch right here. Bad radio, but we're on delay, and George Springer just hit a nice home run. So that sucks ass. First overreaction. Stanton hits 15 home runs off Boston this year alone. And the way the game will play here is, do you agree, or is this just an overreaction? Which there's supposed to be overreactions, but does this have any chance to actually be? Does this have a chance to happen?
How many games do we play against Boston?
19.
Yes. It has
16, 16 left. He has 2 already.
I think he has a chance. Yeah.
So
absolutely he does.
16 remaining. He needs 13 home runs.
Yeah, it could happen.
I'll buy it.
You'll buy.
I'll buy that.
It happened, yeah.
Rizzo breaks the home run record and RBI record. This is the same guy, by the way.
He's on pace, too.
Yeah, he's on pace for not 162 anymore, but close to it.
Glaber should start at shortstop. IKF's mediocre defense just shouldn't give him a start over Glaber.
I don't agree with that.
I disagree as well.
Like,
I don't agree with it, but give it a month.
Yeah, but we literally got a
We've
shortstop.
got a
because
year's worth of
can't play
Glaber.
shortstop.
Yeah,
Right now he's playing Glaber.
Okay,
Glaber
that's even
level
ridiculous that
defense.
you brought that up after 3 games.
I said give it a month.
Glaber couldn't even sniff a Gold Glove at third base. Don't even act like that doesn't. Just stop it. Bring Joey Gallo to Umberto's Clam House and whack him. No, he's a good guy. I disagree.
I disagree because of what I said earlier.
But bring Hicks there. Joey Gallo. Joey Gallo will set the record for most strikeouts in a single season.
Again,
Can we look? One of you look up what that number is?
I think he's got the record.
And we have a watch on that. We just have a tracker of. I mean, it's certainly not out of the realm of possibility.
I mean, I'm fairly certain he's got at least a couple top 5 finishes.
It's 223 by Mark Reynolds.
Really? Yeah.
What's the most that Gallo's had in a single season?
He had last year 213.
And you said how many was Mark Reynolds?
223.
I mean, it's not impossible.
Joey Gallo's got the number 5, the number 11, the number 22 on this all-time list. And he's like 27.
Not what you want.
So I could see it.
Breaking records left and right.
I will say this, though. If he does that, I don't think that necessarily means he had a bad year, though.
No.
Because that's what you're expecting.
Aaron Judge's number 9 on this list now.
And Giancarlo Stanton's number 7.
Yeah. So If he does break the record, I guess good for him.
Season,
Congrats to Joey Gallo, but you could have also had a good season. So, Hicks the Sun, no, not yet, but maybe.
But he's definitely
On his way to Umberto's Clam
He's
House.
putting his spacesuit on and getting acclimated.
Hicks needs to be sent back to AA. Boston for 5th in the AL.
No.
That's absurd.
Oh my God. I think they have a shot at, I mean, just like any of the top 4, I think any of us obviously can come in 4th, and somebody will come in 4th. So I think 4th is the
floor.
The floor for them. I think the 4th is the floor for probably every single team out of the 4, even the Blue Jays. I think any one of us could come in 4th.
It would not surprise me if it was all separated by 2 or 3 games.
Yeah, it's gonna be like the NL East usually is. But the Orioles are not gonna not come in last. Peraza will be the shortstop by All-Star break, and IKF will be the bench piece we need.
Could see that. I could see that.
That's a bold statement, but it could happen.
It's supposed to be an overreaction, so
I think for overreaction purposes, that's a good one.
Yeah,
Great.
I mean, we're basing the overreactions on the merit that they could happen this year, that it's not that crazy, and that I see.
Aaron Hicks should be in high A. Dominguez should be up in the NFL. I said NFL. Aaron Hicks should be in high A. Dominguez should be up in the MLB.
I mean, honestly, at this point, there's no way that Dominguez could be worse.
You're right.
That's true.
He cannot be worse.
He hit a 111 mile per hour single the other day.
And
Oh
a
my God, I'm
112 mile an hour double.
I hate when
I
people
don't want to talk about Dominguez anymore.
Every ball he puts in play for the next 4 years, he's in the minors. We're gonna hear about.
God.
Hope you're ready.
Montgomery will never get past the 4th inning.
That could happen.
I mean, he got shot.
Yeah,
in the
I
fucking
don't
leg
know
yesterday.
how. And again, this is an overreaction, but like,
That's a good one.
give the man a break. Like, he got drilled and was you could hear him.
I
He was
heard that.
audibly
That shit
in
hurts,
pain.
dude.
Snapped his fucking femur, and he went out there and had a great game still.
What did you say in the group chat about that? You were like, I think him just trooping it right now is good for the over or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had
You had the over?
I had the over.
Did
yeah.
it hit?
It did not.
Okay. Judge will leave in free agency. The Yankees do not match his ridiculous contract.
I don't
know.
I don't even think that's an overreaction. I think that's true.
You know, and we were talking about that. I don't think it's set in stone yet. I think the Yankees, if he has a good year, will match a contract, but I think he'll have to meet in the middle. He's not going to get what he's asking for.
Yes.
So Montgomery, just by the way, last year averaged 5 2/3 per start.
I don't think 4th is okay, but his thing
I know.
wasn't saying an average for the year. His was saying won't make it out of he won't get past 4th ever.
Yeah, I know. I'm just telling you. Last year he averaged over 5 a game. So I think I'm gonna have to sell that one. I think he might make it past the 4th one time this year at least.
Here we go, Monty. Matthew Watson he's got your number. This guy, that's who said it. And last one we'll do before we hit the game right now is Stanton MVP. I think I'm gonna bet it.
I am too. 45-1. That's free money.
Join our chalkboard group chat. You'll see my play in there. I'm gonna take that free money. Although I say things are free money all the time, and I've been really, really cold. But yeah, those are. Do you want to close this out with saying are overreactions? Were there any that were said that you were thinking that were not said? I mean,
My biggest overreaction was the Kiner Falefa stuff. And admittedly a huge overreaction, but I actually could see Peraza or Cabrera. I don't even know. Cabrera does play short, right? Before I sound like a jackass, I could see him being replaced by the All-Star break.
I mean, I don't think that's crazy to say. He's not like we don't have a lot of draft capital in him. We didn't spend a lot of money on him. He doesn't have like a set in stone spot on the team. Like he can be replaced. It's not like Glaber or like, we traded Chapman for Glaber and that whole deal, and Glaber was a top prospect in MLB. Like that's why Glaber has such a long leash, even when he's being a puppy dog and skips batting practice after being benched on opening day. Like which is another thing we didn't even mention yet, and that was ridiculous. But
I guess that's just not that big of a deal, though. I mean, I haven't seen anything about it since. Nobody addressed it. It wasn't addressed in the media, so who knows?
kind of a pussy move. If you ask
Maybe
me,
he also
Somewhat
skipped
puss move
on-field
like
batting
Cole,
practice,
too.
so maybe he did something that we don't know about. But the Cole thing's fucking ridiculous.
That's so
$324 million and you can't start a game 4 minutes late. I know you got your routines, dude, but
I mean,
he was
they were
having a
singing-
hissy fit
They
in
were
the
singing
dugout.
the national anthem and doing like the opening day festivities, and he was like
Dude,
sorry.
it's
screaming to
it's
start the
opening
game.
day.
Exactly. You've been here
Like-
for how many years? You know there's gonna be a little bit of a delay, like start.
It's opening day of baseball. Even
His-
going
his-
back to fucking Little League.
I was
there's
about to
opening day
say, I'm pretty sure I had a
festivities, like-
longer opening ceremony at my like modified middle school game.
Dude, like unanticipated late start. Unanticipated. It's opening
No,
day.
no, an unanticipated challenge.
Oh, that's what it said?
Yeah.
Fuck off.
No, yeah, it was
I had an
unforeseen challenge.
unanticipated challenge. The lines would be long when I was going to grab a beer at the game, but
Yeah.
I powered through and I
Powered
did
through
it.
and I made
I
it
still
there.
ponied up my $14 and I got myself a
And then
fucking
Saturday,
beer.
we made an adjustment. All right?
No, we didn't.
We did. We bought the booze into the stadium.
Oh, you're right. We did make an adjustment.
Can Cole make the adjustment in his next start? We'll see.
We'll see if he
Fuck
can
off,
waistband
Garrett.
Can
some,
he
You-
find the
you
ghetto
need-
liquor store?
You need a
and-
great start next game. for me
waistband
to
some
think-
shooters.
Be happy at you. Jesus.
All right.
Join our chalkboard group.
Yeah.
Join
We'll
our
talk in there.
chalkboard group. Link is in the podcast description.
Tell us what
it's
you
been a
think
lot of
about
fun.
Cole and that.
Yeah, if you want to be in a group chat with us, join us there. If you don't,
I mean, if
sucks-
you made it as
sucks
far,
to
if
be
you made it
you.
as far of the podcast, there's no reason why you shouldn't. I mean, like,
Yeah.
even if you don't bet, it's just a place to hang out. We're just gonna be talking in there, chalking it up, as you might say. Oh boy. Oh wow. All
Didn't
right,
know it.
that's my sign off.
Didn't know I could hate somebody more than Gary Sanchez, but you just took the cake.
That was pretty good. I'm actually pretty happy about that.
You too. Next time you talk to him, just let him pitch that to him.
All right. And as always, if you could leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, please do. We appreciate those. Help us out. Yeah, go subscribe to the Bronx Pinstripes YouTube page. That's where we do live shows. We do live shows now on Twitter as well. So if you ever want to get in the chat there and chat with us while we record live, we'll react to it. Haven't been too great at that recently because the chat's in the other room, but I'll bring the chat over here and we'll react to them live on the show. But yeah, appreciate you guys. Go Yanks. Let's hope the Yankees end up. And by the time you guys listen to this on the podcast apps, the game one on the Monday night game against the Blue Jays is over. So let's hope for my sake that we got to win. So, and if we did go to win, it's 2-0 when we're going to the game. We're leaving right now to go to the game. It's we are the reason that we win. And if we lose, then we're not the reason because we went in when we were losing already. So,
Let's go Yanks.
anywho, love you guys.